that in a second. I'm talking about the political and social challenge that we have in our country. We do face a scenario, it's not the only scenario, but it could become more and more likely, that you will graduate and be living in a country that is getting more and more diverse, more and more racially, culturally, socially diverse, but less economically prosperous. And if you know anything about human history, a society getting more and more diverse, but less economically prosperous, is not exactly a recipe for a common ground. It's more of a recipe for a battleground. And you can't afford generationally to let the country devolve into that kind of strife because you've got big problems to solve. For instance, keeping us from baking the planet. So, that's bad news. But there's worse news. I thought this was the whole guy. Don't worry, I got answers for you. Just building it up. It's a pedagogical trick. I wish. There's a complicating factor. And that complicating factor is this. There is a tendency that is beginning to develop in our country that sees that scenario and says, yeah, you know what, you're right, man. That is a problem. That's a tough situation. And then we've got an answer. Getting more diverse, less prosperous? Here's the answer. Attack the diversity. Attack the diversity. It's those immigrants. Blame them. They're the problem. Attack the immigrants. Attack the Muslims. When they pray, they talk to God different, they must be the problem. Let's go after the Muslims. Let's attack the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. They want to get married now. If they get married, then I'll have to get divorced. There's only so many marriage licenses in the universe, and they're trying to take them. They're the problem. I would argue, respectfully, that these kinds of responses are 180 degrees in the wrong direction. The diversity of America is not our problem. In fact, as I said earlier, it will be the source of almost every solution to our problem. It's the fact that we have the wisdom and genius of all peoples in one place living peacefully that gives us the opportunity to solve our problems and the problems for the whole human family, or help in that regard. That's not the problem. Protect diversity. E pluribus unum. That's not some PC crap, that's on the dollar bill somewhere. E pluribus unum. Out of many one. That is fundamental to who we are as Americans. No, you don't attack the diversity. You find a way to restore the prosperity. See, that is your great generational challenge. If you want to pull America back together, you've got to put America back to work. That is your great mission. But you have to do it now inside of certain ecological constraints. Oh, you have a tough challenge. You can't, see, you want to put America back to work, you want to restore the prosperity. That lets you pull America back together to solve the big problems. But those big problems actually constrain your ability to solve them. What do I mean by that? You've inherited stupid political paradigms from people ahead of you in line. Here's what people in my generation have been debating about since I was your age. I'll be 43 this year. It boils down to this. Jobs versus the environment. Another way to say that is, who do you love more? Your children or your grandchildren? Door number one, if you love your children, grow the economy. Grow the economy. Don't worry about any pollute if you have to, destroy rainforests if you have to. Grow the economy because you want to put food on the table. Grow the economy. Love your children, but you'll kill your grandchildren. Or door number two, love your grandchildren. Keep the world safe for them. And don't let anybody develop anything. No jobs, no buildings, no factories, no nothing. We got to worry about our grandchildren. Of course, you'll starve your child. Now, this strikes me as transparently stupid. But, in fact, this has been where American politics has been stuck since the 1970s. Who do you love more, your kids or your grandkids? I think we have to be smart enough at this point to say we love both our children and our grandchildren. And we want to have economic growth that respects the needs of both. In other words, green growth. And the way you do that is you prioritize economically and politically the kinds of economic growth that will maximize the number of people who will be working now and maximize the health of the planet later. And that work is the work of the green economy. That work is the work we call green jobs. That work is the work we call green collar employment. And that work will not only rescue our economy, it will also heal our environment. You have the opportunity as a generation to fight pollution and poverty at the same time. You can fight pollution and poverty at the same time. You can fight the global recession and global warming at the same time. And you can do it simply by connecting the people who most need work in our country, the people who most need work in our country, to the work that most needs to be done in our country. If you connect the people who most need work to the work that most needs to be done, you'll fight pollution and poverty at the same time. Now, this is not some fantasy. This is not some fairy tale. Already in our country, we have begun to do something extraordinary. With the worst economy in 2 generations, and with Congress missing in action, and stuck on stupid, we still have been able to grow this vital sector of our economy: clean energy, solar, wind, biofuels, organic food, etc. I'll talk about some of that. We've been able to grow it so extraordinarily that we can now stand toe-to-toe with other parts of our economy. For instance, let's get specific. In our country right now, we have about 80,000 people in the coal industry. Now, these are America's heroes, okay? They risk their lives, their lungs, and their limbs every day to get the coal out, to keep the lights on across America. There are 80,000 of them. They got up this morning, and they risked their lives, their lungs, and their limbs to keep the lights on, to keep powering America in the old way. We respect them. But guess what? This morning, 80,000 Americans got up and went to work in the wind industry as well. 80,000. Beginning to power America in a new way. The solar industry supports 46,000 jobs right now today. And I can talk to you about biofuels and the jobs there, the smart grid and the jobs there, smart battery production and the jobs there, energy efficiency, retrofitting buildings and the jobs there. We are growing a sector in our economy against gravity that already on a per-job basis can stand up to our sisters and brothers who are in coal.